Well, thank you so much, Effie, for coming on the podcast. I know I totally stalked you on Instagram because the project you're doing is amazing to me. And then you just are like, hey, and by the way, aside from dealing with RA and doing a incredible documentary, I'm also going to be writing a kid's book. So what do you want to cover first? Like RA, your documentary, or the kids' book? Because I could go any way.
I mean, well, I guess the documentary, I don't know if it's a necessarily documentary, but it's more of like short, like film thing. I don't even know how to describe it, but we'll see how that goes. We can start with anything you want. I mean,
all right. Well, like first off, I have to let you know I instantly donated to your Kickstarter campaign for your film that you're making because it is so close and near and dear to my heart. But we'll start off with RA because that's what kind of set all of this off. And we haven't. I don't think we've interviewed many people on the podcast who have RA, and it's a huge thing. There's a lot of people who have it. So you got this pretty young, right? Like this started in?
Yeah, I diagnosed at 18 with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis.
Oh my goodness.
So now idiopathic arthritis. They changed the name, and there's different subcategories to it. So I had the one that was obviously the more aggressive kind. And, kids with JRA who are diagnosed young, a lot of them come out of it in their teen years or adult years, and they don't have it anymore. They can outgrow it. Other people, if they have a specific form of it, it can transfer into adulthood. Kind of be like rheumatoid arthritis in a way. It's similar to that. So that's what I have.
You have the rheumatoid. You didn't luck out on the lottery there.
Yeah, not really.
No, I hear you. Like my disorder, they're like, well, some people just grow out of it. It's like, yeah, that really did not happen with this one.
Yeah.
So for people who don't have RA or no one in their family who have arthritis or rheumatoid arthritis, can you describe some of your symptoms or what a regular day is like?
Well, one of my symptoms in the beginning was fatigue, night sweats. I had like random rashes, and I just thought I was kind of getting, catching a cold or something, and then I would have a joint pain, and then my body was just freaking out in general. Like I had really bad acne in high school. I think I had food allergies and sensitivities I didn't know about from a kid. And so those things kind of just manifested into what my problems are now. And my dad, he did have psoriasis. So that is an autoimmune disease. And so I don't know, obviously genetics and DNA played a role, but those were my symptoms in the beginning. And I was, pretty active as a kid. I would play sports, and I wasn't an athlete by any means, but I would, rollerblade, ride my bike, and just play park district type of sports. And I would go yearly for a physical to my pediatrician at the time. And freshman year, going into high school, you have to get all the immunizations and all that. And so that was fine. I passed everything with flying colors. The following years, when I started having all those symptoms, and my hands and my knuckles kind of stood a little off to me. So I was just telling her, my two knuckles on either side don't really look normal to me. And it was something more I could notice, not really anyone else. And she was like, oh, everything looks fine. You're good. You're healthy. So I'm like, okay, whatever. They chalked it up to kind of more of like a growing pain type of situation, since I was, taller than, most girls. I was 5'7", whatever, that's tall for a girl. But yeah, and then the following year, my junior year, that's when things started getting a little worse. And I was having more swelling in the joints. And that's when she said that I should go see a rheumatologist. So it was more of a diagnosis that was not really readily apparent in the beginning, and they didn't diagnose fast enough.
Yeah, when you said I read through your whole thing that goes on the show notes, and sorry, the form. I'm doing well. This is before painkillers, so you're just gonna have to forgive me today. Yeah, it's good. It's a morning and a half, may I tell you?
Yeah.
But when you mentioned the growing pains thing, that was just something that hit home because there's when you're a teenager, it seems like a lot of the times that there's this rush to blame everything on growing pains or hysteria or stress, and it can really delay It sounds like you were really fortunate that you were able to get diagnosis within a year or two, but it's amazing how often it just gets thrown off to the side.
Right. And I think for me, I was having symptoms from 16, but I think my symptoms were coming before that though too, even when I was a kid or even middle school even. And it was just more very vague. It wasn't anything that was showing signs of a chronic illness. Looking back, there's little things in my journey of life that I could kind of be like, oh, maybe that's tied to something that is my diagnosis now, So
yeah, hindsight gets really funny when you start looking back and you're like, oh, now that suddenly makes sense. Okay. All right, that works out. I didn't get my diagnosis until I was like, I think about 6 years older than you. I was like 36 or so when I got my diagnosis finally, and it made sense of everything going back to like 8. So it's really one of those things where I feel so bad for anyone who doesn't have a diagnosis but is chronically sick, because
yeah.
it's really hard to pull everything together and get the support you need. How did the support work out for you when you were a teenager? And that's such a weird age where you're trying so hard to, like, at least I know I was trying so hard to fit in. It hurt. Like, it's the most humiliating thing in my life is thinking how hard I tried to fit in with everyone. And then it's like, but I'm sick. How did you handle all that? Because I can tell you I didn't handle it well.
Well, high school wasn't really my prime time to shine. Life thrived afterwards. So I didn't really have like a positive high school experience. So I can't really vouch for anything other than that. But I was diagnosed literally like upon graduating. So I didn't really have to deal with all that stuff. I had to deal with like bullying and other crap. But honestly, I lucked out in that sense that I didn't have to explain to anyone why I wasn't doing certain things. But the thing is, I kept it more, I didn't really tell many people. I told maybe 1 or 2 friends, and I kept it to myself. Only my immediate family knew. So afterwards, I started, telling more people about it when I was more comfortable and I kind of had a plan set in place, because there was just so many things thrown at you at the time that, you didn't really know what to do. But I remember junior year and senior year a little bit, I did sit out from gym class. So I didn't tell anyone why, but, with like certain contact stuff, I wasn't able to do them because my wrist was showing signs of mild damage at the time. So in senior year of high school. And that's when I also went for a second opinion at clinic, because I went for one in 2004, the summer going to my senior year. And that's when they diagnosed me first. And then I had to wait 6 months to get into Mayo Clinic, which sounded, horrendous at the time because I was in pain. So I would go to school in pain, not knowing what's going on. I didn't tell anybody. And that's when I sat out in gym class. And then that January, they diagnosed me. And then so I didn't really start any treatment until that June, just because there were so many people like, oh my God, you're going to be on methotrexate, you're going to be on this medicine. Like, more like a fear type of thing. Instilled in me, there wasn't really a lot of like support at the time from outside sources. So it was more, even my experience at Mayo Clinic wasn't the best, because the doctor, the head rheumatologist then told me 18, I probably wouldn't live till 60. So it was like, it wasn't really like anything that was supportive right from the get-go. And I feel like even my dad at the time was, talking to people, and they were like, oh my God, you shouldn't be on this medicine. So, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like, it wasn't anything of positivity, in the beginning. But yeah, that's kind of what my journey led to.
That sounds like excellent bedside manner on your doctor's part. I'm just trying to
yeah, I've dealt with a lot of bad bedside manner, not a lot of good ones. So, but yeah, that was horrendous at that time. Yeah.
But someone has this, like, a chronic illness when they hear like the Mayo Clinic and they're like, oh, my ideal vacation. Like, it's sort of like this weird holy ground for the chronic ill. Like, everyone's trying to get to the Mayo Clinic. And
right.
It's interesting. What was your experience like going through that?
No offense to anyone who lives in Minnesota, I don't like that place at all. Like, I don't have to go back to Mayo Clinic. I don't ever want to.
Sorry, Minnesota, we love you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Mayo Clinic and Mall of America, they're awesome, but I don't want to ever go back. Yeah, the process was really daunting. Like, you have to wait 6 months for the application to even go through, to even see a doctor to get in. And it's ridiculous, because chronically ill people, they need to be seen immediately, especially those who are like having these symptoms and they don't have any help. And that's, I feel, one of the main reasons why we're so chronically ill now, is because people have to wait months and months to get in to be seen. And at the time, I didn't really see a rheumatologist there. I saw a dermatologist because I had acne. I broke out an eczema. They diagnosed me with eczema and like some other type of rash. So there was a lot of things going on with me that they didn't really know right away. And then, so I had to see multiple doctors at the time. And it was just every day, it was like for 3-4 days, just constant tests. And you would just be waiting in the waiting room. That's all it was. And then they diagnosed you, they sent you home with a plan, and depending on the state you live in, they suggested you see a doctor, and they gave me a referral, and that's it, and I went home.
Huh. Well, that does not seem as helpful as I was hoping a trip to the Mayo visit would be. I had
go there for, I know a lot of people go there for more, not serious things, but everyone has a serious thing going on, but cancers and stuff, and so they have to be there months at a time. It just really depends on the situation.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, over here in the Bay Area, I had to wait 3 years to see the Ehlers-Danlos doctor, like the one. And it was only 3 years because someone canceled that I was able to grab the appointment.
Wow.
Yeah, it's you're right. There's a huge issue with not having doctors who have the knowledge of a lot of these chronic illnesses. I mean, so many of us have, well, you have a more funded chronic illness. I have what's called the orphan one where like there's no funding, no research. But for RA, is there anything like on the horizon that you're looking towards? Any good medications, any good protocols?
I mean, they say stem cell therapy is starting to be a big thing for, arthritis in general. I mean, there's so many types of arthritis, but with RA, it can be a little tricky because the way the immune system works is not the same as osteoarthritis or just general wear and tear, which is what stem cell is showing to kind of help those, people. But I would try that if there was solid proof. I just have tried so many things, and I've kind of gotten screwed over by them for several months to a year afterwards.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, I'm just trying. I don't know, be in that situation anymore. So that's one thing I would try. And then medicine. The medicine I'm on right now is actually working. That's methotrexate. That's the one I feared from the beginning. That everyone was like, "Oh my God, you're gonna die on it," or like bad things are gonna happen to you. So it's like the number one thing I was fearing is the number one thing that's actually helping me now more than any other biologic I tried. So that's ironic, but yeah.
That is awesome. And by the way, just a quick little legal note, we are not doctors. We do not pretend to be doctors. No. We don't even play doctors on TV. So if you have RA and this has sounded like interesting to you, please feel free to take notes and take this to your doctor, but don't just take our word for anything. We are just sick people talking. All right, sorry, just the lawyer in me needed to get that out. My sister would never forgive me if I didn't do a little lawyer PSA. So for what you're dealing with, I'm guessing chronic pain is a huge portion of your life. And pain management is a huge issue in the United States right now. Are you experiencing any of these? I guess what I'd ask you is like, are you on the opioid? Like, as I'm on opioids, and the new opioid freakout has like messed with my life so much. Are you dealing with anything like that?
Yeah, I'm actually not on opioid. No. I was on ibuprofen.
I'm going to put a stop right now. So you're not doing the opioids, but what are your pain management techniques? And again, not doctors, but just general ideas, because that seems to be where I get the most hopeful is when they're like, oh, try biofeedback. Oh, try breathing, try this. And it's always like $20 a visit to $110 a visit kind of thing. And like, I would love to try stuff. It's just much more expensive than my $5 a month opioid prescription, which actually works to a level I can sit here and talk to you. So do you deal with the same thing where people are always like giving you like these things that you could try and do that are like, would cost like thousands of dollars a month? Let's be honest. I mean, between like all the different things. Do you get to deal with all that?
Yeah, I mean, I am a proponent for alternative medicine, but it has landed me in medical debt because I don't have the coverage for it, you know, and that, they don't really understand. So for opioids, I used to use like ibuprofen, I guess that's the closest thing to it. Back like 10 years ago when I was on a biologic, that's what my rheumatologist at the time recommended. I was taking up to like 800 milligrams. And I don't know, for me personally, it wasn't the best because it did upset cause gastrointestinal issues, more like gut imbalances. But I did find out eventually I was allergic to ibuprofen because my upper lip swelled. So ever since 5-6 years ago, I don't take it anymore. And then the last time I was on a painkiller was prior to my knee surgery. And that was Norco. But without that, I probably wouldn't have made it up until surgery. So, I agree that it helps people because I wouldn't have been able to just live off of turmeric and fish oil during that time period before surgery because it was just, the pain was really bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always entertained when someone's like, why don't you just try this? And it's like, oh, first off, that's really brave of you to think I didn't try it already. And
Yeah.
also, very like, I've had people offer like CBD oils that are $500 a month. It's like, what income bracket did you think I was in? It's always interesting what everyone thinks you should be trying before to be a good pain patient. I always find that an interesting question. So for you, are you affected just in, not just, I'm sorry, that's a horrible, that word needs to go away. Are you affected in your arms, legs, everywhere?
Yeah. Yeah, and going back to like the stuff that you're mentioning, I have tried CBD and turmeric and stuff. I just don't feel it's like enough. You know what I mean, for my situation. But yeah, my hand, my elbow, and my knee were impacted. So.
Yeah, and like just to be clear, I love CBD, I love THC, it's part of my regimen, but I feel like it's a good supplement to the high level opioids I need to function during the day. And turmeric tastes lovely, that's wonderful, but I don't see it as being I don't need anything else now.
Yeah, everyone has their own plan that works for them. You know, some people can just live off of that turmeric and CBD oil and be fine with their symptoms. But if they have a mild, like that's the thing, if they have a mild form of arthritis, it's helpful. But if they have something more aggressive, you need medicine too, and painkillers or whatever you need to help you get by.
So speaking into the judgmental part of the world, I'm going to segue right on into the film you're making because I am in love with it. It is something I've dealt with. Do you want to start with the story that started all of this?
Yeah, so I wrote an article on the Mighty about it, and basically 10 years ago I was going to college in the city, in the dorms, and one more.
So you're going to college in the city in the dorms? And...
Oh, yeah, no. Am I going in and out again?
You are. Skype is awful. Oh, it is one of the worst things ever.
It is scary. We can cut this out. Hold on. Yeah, am I good now?
You're good now. And so sorry, everyone. I'm not going to cut this out because I don't have the energy to go through all the video and find this one portion. So please forgive us while we fiddle with things. I swear this interview is worth it. So you're going to school at the dorms.
Oh, no, I wasn't living in the dorms. I was just commuting to the city to go to college. And, commuter student. And I was taking the train, and one morning, it was like winter, so obviously winter time is not really arthritis-friendly months. And
hence why you were not overjoyed being in Wisconsin for so long.
So I ended up having to take like a 2-hour shower. At this time, I was on a biologic, and I was still having morning stiffness and a lot of pain. And that's when I was taking my painkillers. So I would, go about my morning routine, take my painkillers, and go on the train like 7:30 in the morning. But I still had like pain on the bottom of my feet and everything. So I think like whoever complained, they saw me get out of my car and like run up the platform and, swing my backpack. And that day I had to bring my book. So it looked fishy, I can't say. But they didn't know what was going on with me, with my life. So they just automatically made an assumption that I was misusing it. And they had called the cops. I don't know who called the cops on me, but someone showed up to my house later of the cops.
Wow.
And a complaint was issued, and we just want to make sure no one's misusing this, blah, blah. So then I just kind of gave him the rundown or, told him that I am using it. And he said, okay, it's fine. And then he went on about his way, So that was the story for me. The video that I made wasn't really necessarily my experience being approached. In the video that we're making, that it's going to be a reenactment type of scene. And it might not be that type of scene, but it's going to be something else to show what people go through with invisible illness. And there's going to be other aspects in the video, but that's kind of the gist and the inspiration. And this happened to me 10 years ago, and I wrote this article 2 years ago, and there's been a lot of people who've reached out to me with their own experiences about it, and who are still having this happen to them, like now, 10 years later. So that's an issue. Why is it still happening? So that's kind of where we're going to get at in the video, why we're raising awareness for it.
One of the questions in our show notes is like, what would make moving through the world easier for you? And I can't tell you how many times I've gotten the answer of, I wish I could sit down on the trains without being afraid of what people will say. I wish I could park my car in a disability parking spot and not worry about the judgment of others. Like that's a big thing that keeps people from leaving the house is this fear and this shame. And like I've certainly experienced the same exact thing of where I had parked my car and I used canes, and I hadn't even gotten fully out of the car before a person came up to me and started in on me. I was waiting for my canes to come around. It was insane. But I find those things funny. I can definitely see where people get very frightened or nervous or upset. So do you have any stories that really hit you as people are writing in their stories?
There's a lot of comments. I mean, one of the examples I made in my Kickstarter video is a lot of people, they have had notes written on their cars and left on their dashboard. I never had that happen to me, but some of these notes are just, I don't know, obscene. Like, I don't know how people can sit in their cars and like write something like that to someone else and place it on there. And that's, one other thing I want to talk about in my video. The other side of these people who approach people or do this, like there must be a reason for them to do that maybe. I know there isn't really necessarily a good reason to ever treat anyone like that, but if you see it from their view, like maybe someone is denied disability and they get angry seeing someone else use it, like there's another view too that I'm not going to like necessarily support in my video, but I'm going to touch on to maybe kind of get that view out there that sometimes people who approach others, they're trying to defend those who are using disability placards. Does it make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And that was actually why I ended up donating to your campaign. I don't usually donate, so please don't suddenly send me like a bunch of everyone's projects. I don't usually donate to anything I'm on disability, but that was part of the reason why I donated to yours was because you showed the other side of that. And I'm a firm believer, thank you, Gentle, for this idea, that you can't take away someone else's humanity. And it's really easy to look at someone who's attacking you and just go, oh my gosh, you're a horrible person. How could you do this to me? But you also showed a different side of what someone else might be feeling or fearing. And fear usually is what makes people act like assholes. So I really thought you had a very good point. And that's why I wanted to reach out and to donate to your project. Because it was absolutely fantastic in seeing that other side of things. That's definitely a huge issue.
And that's what a lot of people commented too. I have some people who reach out to me and were saying that there is another side, blah, blah, blah. So, I took that into consideration as well, but the main gist of the video is for those living with invisible illness and what they go through and what they're still going through, because it was, a kind of shock to me that this happened to me in 2009 and people are still experiencing this in 2019. And there's been so much things going on in mass media that there should be more awareness, and why people are still doing it. It's mind-boggling. Yeah.
It is. It would be really nice if there were more characters on regular shows that people watch that have invisible illness, so that there's a little bit more understanding of what lives are like and what disability can look like. I think that would be tremendously helpful. So anyone in Hollywood who might be listening, hey, let's kick this up with some invisible illness characters. I swear we'll all watch it. Like the Mighty will explode. I'm not kidding. The Mighty will flip out. You'll have so many viewers. Just some real representation would be nice. I hear Jamila has Eller Stanless. She's an amazing actress. Cast her with what she has. It'd be great. We're all in. But I think that would actually really help. I think that most things that have been hidden off to the side in the margins in our society, once they became part of public culture, there was a huge shift on how people were treated. I think this could, using the media for good.
Right. Social media can be bad sometimes, but it can be for good too. So
it can absolutely help. I think that social media is what's really helped a lot of us with illness and disability get our stories out and like what that looks like. And why the meme of like the lady getting out of her scooter to get a bottle of wine was not, the miracle on aisle 13 was a really rude meme, and it wasn't appropriate or acceptable. So it definitely helps. I remember how scared I used to be when I first started with my wheelchair. Like, would someone see me outside walking and then in a wheelchair the next day and think I was like full of it? Like, I went through like paranoia for like 2 years because I don't need my wheelchair every day, but I do need it when I need it.
Yeah.
So there's this like weird paranoia and shame thing going on. If I'm talking a lot, it's because our Skype connection is awful. So when you hear me just rambling, it's because I'm just waiting for Skype connection to come back to me so I don't have to do a ton of editing. So forgive me as I ramble. But if I remember correctly, you are also going to be doing a YA book on rheumatoid arthritis. And I'm like a little jealous. I've done like 5 books so far. And I keep wanting to do one on chronic. I've done 5 books. Yeah, 5 books published for kids, picture books, because I illustrate in my free time. I'll put that in quotations, free time. So I always wanted to do one on chronic illness, and I'm so excited for your project. Do you have any ideas of what you're going to do with it? Because you're like right in the planning stages right now, right? Yeah, I think you are. Or you told me you are. Hello.
Hey. Okay. I don't know what's going on.
We're having fun with Skype is what's going on. Okay, so we were talking about the Kidlit book because I am so psyched about that. I've published a few and I've always wanted to do one about chronic illness. So talk to me. What are you thinking? Have you already started the process?
Yeah, so this is my first one. I know you said that you made several, so I should be the one that tells you. I mean, that's really hard. So I know that you are an illustrator. That's what I saw. I'm not an illustrator by any means. I just write. So for me, the process is slower. If I was an artist or an illustrator, I'd probably be able to produce more. But right now in the process, I am in the editing phases, trying to finalize the story to make it, perfect. And I have already narrowed down, 2 illustrators that I'm thinking of working with. And yeah, I mean, right now, I do plan on self-publishing because we know, or many people might not know, that it is very hard to get to, regular publishing if you don't have an agent. I did a Twitter pitching event called DVP It, and I did win like a free editing query thing from an agent, but who knows what will happen with that if I try to do it in April. But that is my goal right now, to self-publish, because, for this book that I now, it's for kids with juvenile arthritis. And my book, there's not going to be any human characters. It's an animal. So it will be an interesting take on that. But the way I want the character to look is very specific in my vision. So I know with, working with a publisher, they usually do pick the illustrator, and you don't really get to see much of the process. So, that's kind of where I am 50-50 on right now. And that's where I'm at my process.
So what got you to, is you're doing some really creative things from your, and I believe me that you're speaking my language on like, I'm sick, I need to do something. So how did you come up with all of this? How do you have the drive? How do you stay motivated?
I've always wanted to write a book, and more of like, adult books, though, like a self-help, maybe like a memoir down the line when I'm older, cookbook. Those were the things that were kind of on my radar. The children's book, yeah, but it didn't really, it didn't really click with me until maybe a year or two ago. I was doing, this health coaching program, and I guess part of the program was to do a book course and kind of learn how to make a book, self-publishing it. And at the time I was doing the course, I didn't really know which way I wanted to go. And they did bring up, children's books a little bit. And I started talking to various people who've done them, and I found a Facebook group called Children's Authors and Illustrators. There's many of them, but this guy who runs this group, it's pretty good. There's a lot of people who've been really successful in what they do with self-publishing. So I was inspired just randomly. I had always been ideas down, but it just didn't click with me, like I said, after that book course was done. That's the path I want to take right now, to write a children's book, and maybe a couple others afterwards. Before I do anything else, because I didn't really have the inspiration for my other books that I do want to write. I have like that idea and the titles for those, but those take time, to write like a 200 page book, 100 page. So I don't know if that makes sense if I'm rambling, but that's kind of what I am doing right now. So.
You are talking to the queen of rambling, so you're doing great. Don't worry about it. We're so lucky, I feel like, and it's a weird word to use, but I do feel like we're tremendously lucky to be sick in this era. Like, if you look at being sick 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it was a different game. And the ability to self-publish, that's really thanks to Amazon in a huge way. And all the different programs that we have available to be able to get our voices out there. And we have social media. Like, we have so many things that I'm really grateful for that weren't around earlier.
Right. Self-publishing is hard though. I mean, I don't know if you have done that or if you've done the traditional
No,
route, but
self. I don't have the energy to hound down an agent, and like I can barely get through my disability paperwork and my doctor's appointments. I would be so screwed unless there's an agent who's listening. He's like, I loved Snuggle Bunny and a Fairy Good Night. Yes, we would love you. Sure, please. If you want to handle everything, my God, take it off my hands.
Right.
Like that'd be great. Marketing is not something I have energy. Sorry?
Yeah, from what people have told me, no, sorry. From people have told me, usually you have to do your own marketing, most of it even afterwards. So
Yeah.
that's why a lot of people are trying to do this whole indie thing, and it's nice that we have the option nowadays. But yeah, so this book is partly inspired by my journey. I'm going to put some, real life experiences in it to be relatable to kids and their parents. So hopefully by the fall it will launch. That's my, goal. Things obviously get delayed and stuff, but, we'll see.
I'm so excited for you. It's so needed. I mean, if you look through Kidlit, there are so few characters of color. There's so few characters who have different abilities. Like, it's so homogenized, and there's a lot of stories that are really missing from Kidlit. And I think that one of the most important things we can ever see is ourselves when we're children looking at literature or film or anything. Like, we need to see ourselves in there to know that we're part of something. And I think what you're doing is so important. I'm proud of you. I don't know you very well, but I'm very proud of you. It's a wonderful projects that you're doing. And the placard thing, just building that awareness is so important. It will create so much more freedom for so many people if they don't feel afraid to go out and use their placard.
Yeah, I hope so. And, obviously, if I don't raise the funds, then that's fine. I mean, there's always a plan B I have in place. I have the whole year to do it. I do want to get this project off the ground this year. So, we'll see how it goes. And I'm not worried about it. I don't think my goal. But there'll be other routes I can take to create that possibility. So I'm not worried.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to cut out before Skype decides to do it for us again. But on the show notes, if you guys head over to invisiblenotbroken.com, you're going to see a whole bunch of buttons. You can follow Effie on all of these places she gave me that she's on: Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You can join up on her YouTube channel, and you can there's a big button that says to donate to her project. So just click that button if you would like to donate. I think it's a really worthwhile project. Like I said, I donated. I think it's amazing, and I'm really excited for it. Tune in next week. We'll be doing some more interesting interviews. I believe it will be Dr. Phillips is going to be the next one. We'll see. But he's back with us to talk about everything sex and chronic illness. So that'll be a really fun episode. If you want to do something really nice for the podcast, please head on over to Apple Podcasts, leave some stars, say some nice things, or hey, if you have not nice things to say them kindly. I have 3 feelings left. Be nice to those. All right, everyone, have a great week. Be kind, be gentle, and be a badass.